in my zone.
All right, welcome to In the Zone podcast. What's up? I'm with my main man, Aaron Charles. What up, man?
What's going on? Welcome to the zone, baby.
All right, we got a guest. again.
Another Charles.
Another Charles.
It's gonna get confusing.
But he's the real deal.
He's the real deal?
Yeah.
It's just because I wore a suit.
No one can outdress a Charles. I'm gonna call him Sir Charles today.
Sir Charles.
Yeah, Sir
We'll
Charles.
take it. We'll take
Sir
it.
Charles.
We'll take it.
So, Charles, do a little introduction of yourself.
Well, first, thanks for having me on, guys. This is the first time I've ever done a podcast.
Wow.
I love podcasts.
You broke your virginity.
You broke my podcast virginity. It's been a while since I could say that.
Yes.
But no, it's great to be on it. Again, a little bit of anxiety coming in because I've never done it before, but sometimes you got to just push yourself out a little bit.
Yep.
I'm a mortgage broker at Vine Group. I was with RBC as a mortgage specialist downtown Toronto for a decade.
Wow.
So I've been around a little while. I've been in the mortgage business all in all for about 15 years. And, you know, like my journey is kind of a you plan and God laughs kind of thing. But
I like that.
We'll talk about that.
You plan
and God laughs.
Okay.
That was told to me years and years ago.
What does that mean?
Well, it's like, you know, you kind of have this idea of where you want your life to go, right? And then something happens, and then you go off in a completely different direction. That was not part of the plan at all.
Correct.
Right? But I think as long as you kind of try to stick to your core characteristics and who you are and stay true to yourself, you'll eventually be okay.
Correct.
But it's a lot of like up and down. And that was me from like probably 20 to all the way to like my early 30s.
Just figuring shit out.
And like trying to like understand, okay, well, where's the direction?
Yeah. It's funny, like I go off on these these raids on Instagram. I don't know if you follow me yet, but it's called attack mode. So I have a template, and then if something affects me, I just start to write. It's almost like I'm a weird journalist. But I wrote something yesterday. It just came to me. I said to myself, what did I say exactly? I said, life will work itself out, good or bad. So prepare for both.
Yeah.
Prepare for both.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
I think a lot of times people always plan things to have that rosy picture, but they never plan for what if it fails.
Well, bad things can be good.
Exactly, because you get lessons from it.
Right. It's only good if you learn.
Correct.
Right. If you just keep doing the same bad thing,
well, you're just a hard-headed fool.
that's a problem. Right. That's a problem. And I think everybody gets to a point in your life, or at least you hope you do, where you learn enough lessons where you eventually kind of figure it out.
Correct.
Right. And I think you got to stay consistent in your own confidence, because it's very difficult when you're younger, especially because people will push you off that.
Correct.
Right. And depending how strong you are as a character, as an individual, will you stick with it?
Yeah.
And I think that's a real test. And I think now that I'm 43 years old, like I'm starting to see that.
Right.
Where it's very difficult to shake me off an idea.
Right.
Whereas in my earlier days, believe it or not, like you think when you're younger, you take more risks.
Yeah.
Right. For me, I've kind of done the opposite.
Correct.
The younger I was, the more conservative I was. And then the older I get, the more I kind of try to push myself outside of my boundaries.
I know.
Take those.
You want to know why that's the case? Because when you're younger, you naturally respect
boundaries.
You respect who you're going to because you feel they have something that they can give you value.
Yep.
But when you get older, you realize 90% of people are fucking clueless.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
So you're just like, you know what?
Yeah.
I think I'm special now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want because you can.
Yeah.
And you should.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, when I was younger, I even go through it today. I'm like, so I'm trying to get out of this entrepreneurship mode and get more into business. And it's been so hard for me because I've now put some gatekeepers in the way in place to
You're hardwired.
To say, hey, Aaron, you know, yes, good idea, but let's double check everything.
Right.
And then they come back to me and it's like the safest approach ever. And I'm like, I'm not where I am because I played safe.
Right.
So now I'm in that battle of, and Jason helped me with it. He's like, be like Steve Jobs. Tell him to go out there and just figure it out. It's not and bring back the answer. You know, not stop it.
You know, and again, I'm a big podcast guy. I love being on this, but I have a lot of mentors in the podcast community. And again, I'm a student of history too. And one of the guys that I love, and he has it's a movie on YouTube. It's a guy named Gianni Agnelli.
Okay.
So you know who Gianni Agnelli is?
I never heard.
So he was the former owner of Fiat. In Italy. Okay, and you
watch
watch
tiny cars.
Yeah. Well, they also own Ferrari, right?
Okay.
And watching this guy, the way he lived his life was very much like that. It was a little bit reckless, but there was method to the madness.
Yeah. Mad scientist.
Yeah, and the chaos, that chaos that he lived in was his creativity.
Yeah.
right? And you have to be able to harness that creativity and then apply it. Otherwise, you're just going to spin out, right?
People, I start to realize now that I'm 33, I love failing. And the reason why is because I get excited when I crack the code.
Yeah.
So I called my contractor yesterday. I'm like, yo, I figured it out. Come see me tomorrow. I got to show you this.
Yeah. It's like a Rubik's Cube and you finally put it together.
Exactly.
Right?
Like, people don't understand the failing part is the exciting part.
It's a process.
Imagine you're playing a game, let's say Xbox, PlayStation, and you're always winning. You're going to get bored. Yeah. But if the levels challenge you, you're going to go away for 2 days. You're going to process it, think it. You're going to, and then when you beat it, you're so excited.
Yep.
Right. So my failures, I get excited for them because I know I'm going to crack the code because I'm not going to stop till I crack the code.
Yep.
So I think a lot of people, they short themselves on that experience of
being
going after things, because I believe, the way I live my life and, is I don't care about money. I don't care about fame. I don't care about luxuries. The only thing I want to do is see how great Aaron Charles can be when it's all said and done.
Right.
Am I going to put a skyscraper, the biggest skyscraper up in the sky? What if I lost $100 million doing that? But guess what? That skyscraper is going to stay there for the rest of a legacy.
Yep.
For me, it's a legacy. I'm not going to die and bring all this money with me. It's just about seeing what I can dig into.
This is interesting, right? Because it's that all stuff is all byproducts.
Exactly. Of the effort.
Right. So when I look at kind of when I want to mentally check myself, I ask a very broad question is, am I happy?
Correct.
Right. That's the big bubble.
Right.
And then I have these sub bubbles that will then line into that happiness question.
Correct.
Right. So the first question I ask is, okay, am I happy? Boom, big bubble. Smaller bubble, how's my family? Right. My wife, my kids, is everything working well at home? Right. And then the second part of that is balance. Right? Is my life balanced? Right? Like, am I running around like a chicken with my head cut off? Am I not able to prioritize and pivot as I need to?
Correct.
And then from there, there's security,
Correct.
which is money in the bank, bills are paid, things are being taken care of. And the last one is time, right? Like, how much time do I have to work on myself? Right? And I was saying to Aaron, I get up super early in the morning. Like, I get up at 4:30 in the morning, 4
All
o'clock,
three of us.
right? Because that's your hour. That's I've got 2 kids and 1 on the way, and that hour is my time.
Yeah.
Power
right?
hour.
I'll work out. I'll listen to a podcast. I'll meditate, which I just started doing.
Yep.
Do you guys meditate?
I do.
Yeah, I do.
It's awesome.
I meditate like 5 times a day.
Yeah. Well, 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah. 1 or 2 minutes. Just take some quiet time.
Yep.
And just reflect on the day.
Yeah.
What got you into meditation?
Again, I listened to a podcast. So again, I love Reid Hoffman. He's the founder of LinkedIn. Has a podcast called Masters of Scale. And he talks about kind of the entrepreneurial spirit. And part of that is, mental well-being.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not mentally prepared for the day, you're destined to fail. Right. And part of that mental fitness is, taking, 5 or 10 minutes or even a minute or two and just breathing and listening to your body and your mind. Quiet everything down.
Have to.
Just slow it all down. Right. And so I have that app, Calm.
I have it too.
Right?
Okay.
LeBron James, right?
Yeah,
LeBron? So I love the way LeBron talks about how do you handle pressure and emotion, right? And he basically breaks it down to 3 basic functions, right? Breathing, take a deep breath before you're about to do something. Put your blinders on, how a horse runs, right? Put your blinders on, focus on the goal.
Get in the zone, baby.
Yeah, get in the zone. Get in the zone. And then the third is block out all the noise.
Block it out.
Block out the bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. And I listen to those things and I'm like, that's fucking genius. Right. And, just kind of taking that minute or 2 or 10 minutes for myself in the morning is what I need to prepare. Because we all lead very stressful lives.
Yeah.
Right. We're in a stressful business. Everything is time crunch. I need it now. I need it yesterday. You're in the development business where every day 50 things could go wrong. And that's a good day. Right. That's a good day.
It's a great day.
So you're like a firefighter.
Yeah.
Right. All day long, you're just putting out fires.
Yeah.
And
it shouldn't be that way, but goddamn, it is.
Right. But again, part of it is that's the process. That's what makes it fun and exciting because every day you don't know what you're going to get.
Yep.
I want to go back to your bubbles explanation because I feel like our viewers and listeners should really take that in. And I admire it because the way you listed it off is a lot of people flip it a little bit. They forget to put themselves first and happiness.
Yep.
Because if you're not happy, everything else is going to crumble.
Matter.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
Because I hear a lot of times people say, I got to do it for my family. My family comes first. And I'm like, but you're not happy. I know, but I have to just I'm like, listen, it starts with you.
Yep.
Sometimes you got to be selfish.
Yep.
And put yourself first and make sure you're happy, because it's just going to trickle down onto everything else.
100%.
You're going to be happy to pay your bills. You're
Yep.
going to be happy to spend time with your family. You're going to be happy to spend time with your kids. If your mental space is clean and pure, you got to take that time for yourself. I wake up 4:30 in the morning sometimes just to look out the window and just dream.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And again, dreaming is one of those imagination, creativity.
You got to keep it alive.
All this stuff comes from.
Got to keep it alive.
If you I don't get people that wake up at 7:30 and then
Rat
they
race.
try to attack the day, but you're already behind.
Yeah.
Right. And especially if you've got responsibilities and kids and everything else. Like, listen, man, after 6:15, I'm on daddy dude. There's no I'm gonna bounce out for an hour and hit the gym.
Yeah.
No. Like, I'm there with my with my partner, my wife, getting the kids ready for school. Yeah. Like, I'm in the trenches.
Yeah.
Right. And then I come back up around 8:30, 9 o'clock to breathe. And then, okay, all right. But because I set the intention first thing in the morning, and I took care of things that needed to get taken care of, I'm never chasing.
Yeah.
And then I can plan.
And you're not being reactive. You're being proactive.
Right. And that's a huge plus.
Being reactive is the worst.
You're dead. You're dead.
So just to stay on that topic for 1 second, I start to realize that all successful people wake up early. And it's almost like the earlier you wake up, the more successful you are.
Yeah, it's
some guys are 3:30, 2:30, 4:30. So right now I'm in the 4:30, 5 a.m. club with Jason.
Yeah. How do you start your morning? So when you get up, what's the first thing you guys do?
You're gonna laugh. I fall asleep with my gym clothes on.
Yeah.
And as soon as
no excuses.
So as soon as the alarm rings, I just roll out of bed and I go into my car to the gym.
And it's almost like subconscious.
Yeah. And then I just do my thinking. Sometimes Jason's WhatsApping me or we call each other at 5 a.m. to talk about the day and talk when we plan things out. But what I was gonna go to for just a quick second was I met this new gentleman. He's a developer, very nice guy. So I called him at 9 a.m. on Monday. And I was full of energy already because I'm already at 4:30.
Oh yeah, people don't understand, right?
And I'm like, hey man, sorry to call you early because it's 9 a.m. So I'm really waiting to find a respectable time to call.
Yeah.
Because I want
to.
They
don't want to call him since last night.
Right. It's like, why is this idiot calling me at 4:30 in the morning? What is the problem?
There's a property that I want from him. So I'm like, he's like, early. Aaron, I've been up since 4:30. I'm like, wicked.
You know my
I'm
game.
like, all right, so. Yeah, so by the way, that property.
Yeah.
But I was shocked that he's like 53.
Right.
And he's up at 4:30. He's a successful builder and developer. And now I'm looking to lean on him for like a new mentor in my space of life.
Did you ask him, when did he start doing that?
He said he's been doing it for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And this is what he said to me. He goes, Aaron, you got to make time.
Yep.
Always make time.
Yep.
So you just got to make time for the things that you want. He goes, I have to start my day at 4:30 because I got to be on this job site at 8 a.m.
Yep.
But there's things that I need to do from 4:30 to 7:30 a.m. that I won't be able to get done during the day. So I got to go find time.
Right.
So,
I say that all the time.
So to go on, do you have any mentors or anybody that kind of like help shape you continuously?
So I think we all have kind of people that play small, important roles in our lives, right? And I wouldn't say that I have someone that I go to on a regular basis as like a quote unquote mentor, but I've been very lucky to meet people along the way that have just kind of just pushed me in the right direction.
Right.
Right. So like going back to the whole you plan and God laughs thing. So
I love that, by the way.
Yeah, you can use it.
I might tat it on me.
Yeah, whatever. It's very apropos, right?
Yeah.
So I was one of those guys. So in high school, I was the high school valedictorian. I was my student council.
You're that guy.
I was that guy, right? I was the guy that things were just expected to. I was either going into politics, become a lawyer, and it was just expected it was going to work out for me.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, this is okay. Everything is easy and great. I've got my path. Right.
Yep.
And then I went to university. And university was interesting because I'd never had that kind of freedom before, right?
Correct.
Where it was like, when you're in high school and you miss a class, whatever, someone's on you.
Yeah.
Right? Your guidance counselor like, hey, man, you got to do this calculus course or whatever, right? University, they don't give a shit.
They just want your check.
They got your money. And I went to York University. Yeah. So York is a commuter school. Yeah. So right away, there was no community. Right. Because everybody drives in and out.
Right.
And I all of a sudden, I felt very kind of much in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Where nothing was really clicking. And I was taking these courses with no direction.
Oh, man.
And I was like, this is fucked. Right. This is like, there was no way for me to kind of make connections and build that community that I think is what made me so successful in high school, because I had a great group of people around me in high school.
And the light wasn't shining on you anymore.
Yeah.
You're just
I was just some 3,000 people.
Like
another Jew going to your university, right?
You know?
So again, I very quickly got lost.
Yeah.
And, I was frustrated.
Yeah.
And so, I in my last year, I wanted to drop out. I was like, I said to my mom and dad, I'm like, guys, listen, this is
eating away at you.
Yeah. I'm like, this is useless. Like I'm going to have a degree in poli-sci. Like with that and a quarter, I can make a phone call. Right? Like it's useless. And, again, going back to those key moments, my mom and dad were like, listen, I don't give a shit. Finish. Right? Do whatever you want after, but finish it.
Did they say why?
Because you'll regret it if you don't. Right? And again, I think there's some truth to that, but not. It was more about finishing something you started.
I was just about to say that.
Right. So it wasn't the degree.
Yeah.
It was like, you committed to an enterprise, finish it.
Finish it.
Right. So that to me was very galvanizing, because like I was like so ready just to be like done with it.
So crazy. So I didn't get the luxury of going to university. Growing up at risk, I had a child early as well, 19 years old.
Wow.
So I'm 33. My son just turned 13.
You're in it.
I've been a father my whole adult life.
Yeah.
So I went through a different path, but I got that same advice. Finish.
Yep.
So I'll give you an example. So when I bought my first property, age 21, I start to make other people just look at the deal. And everyone had an opinion. It was crazy. But the opinions were all
just like raising a kid. Everyone's got an opinion.
But everyone was just negative towards the property. Like, oh, the roof is slanted. I'm like, guys, I got to put some little TLC here. That's why it's a deal. Yeah, I don't know if you're ready for all that. You need to have money. I'm like, all right. So I still went ahead and did it. But just before that, I met a gentleman, and he owned about 50 properties. And he goes, Aaron, see the deal through.
Yep.
Complete it. If you quit now, every deal you look at, you're going to walk away from it.
That bias will be there, and you'll be done.
You're going to walk away from it.
Yep.
Could you believe I've never not closed a deal in my career yet?
Wow.
Never.
I mean, we all walk away from deals, right?
I walked away from tons of deals.
I'm like, this deal's dead, man. That's
because you guys are on the other side.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You guys are on the
retail side.
Retail side, yeah. I'm on the purchasing side.
Sure,
so
sure.
I'll go back, renegotiate it. I'll ask
right.
for better terms, vendor take back, all these things. But I've never not closed a deal. Ask for an extension, two, 3 times.
We'll figure it out.
I'll still close.
But it was that one advice that you got that I got as well, but in two different lanes, right?
Yeah.
Finish.
Yeah.
See it through.
Simple things, right?
And then to this day, that's all I say.
Right.
I'm going to see this deal through.
I'm going to finish it.
I'm finishing it.
Yeah. And
win or lose.
Right. And but that's the lesson.
Yeah.
That's the whole game right there, right? Like if you give up the second there's some adversity or doubt in your head, then just that's it.
I see guys to this day that when we first bought properties together, they quit on their first deal and they're still quitting on every deal.
Yep.
Because no matter what I put in front of them,
they set the precedent.
They go all the way to the point where they have to write the check.
Right. The mental block drops.
And then I just buy it off of them myself.
Yeah.
a lot of times people are just not interested in that. That they want something, but they don't really want it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
It's that risk.
Yeah.
Right. And it's this risk calculus in everything that we do. And you just have to ask yourself, okay, well, what is the worst case scenario here? Right. And then as long as you're okay with that, then everything else is just noise.
Right.
Right. So like if I write a check for $20,000 and I'm prepared to lose $20,000, I don't care.
Yeah.
Right?
Go through.
If you mentally are saying, okay, I'm prepared to lose 20 grand here, then everything else is gravy.
Correct.
Right. And I think that is something that not everyone, very few people have the skill set to understand is it's that commitment to saying, okay, listen, win or lose, I'm going to put this commitment forward.
Yeah. And I'm going to keep going.
And that's it. I'm prepared. Yeah. Like the ones that are afraid, right? And it's like, I can't lose 20 grand. I can't invest 20 grand. Right. They're never going to do anything because there's always going to be a risk to an endeavor.
Correct.
And it's never going to be perfect.
Right. You got to be prepared for the downside.
Yeah.
Right. So anytime you're looking at any investment or buying something, you always say, okay, what's the worst possible outcome here? That's what I plan on.
Correct.
Right. Because as long as I have that as my foundation, that like this could fail and fall on its face.
Correct.
I only lose this. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. You know what I start to realize too, and maybe you guys start to realize two things. Not everybody wants money. they think they want money.
Yeah.
They want the things money can buy.
Right. The image and the yeah.
Money.
Yeah.
Having money is work.
Sure.
Running Excel sheets, running performa, testing it against products, managing it. It's work. The hardest thing I've done in my life is work with money.
Yep.
Right? Because money doesn't stay with people who don't respect it.
Sure.
So you got to work and always show money that you respect it, because it will just leave your hands.
Can't take it for granted.
And then the other thing too is I realized, like, not everyone deserves to have money as well.
Right?
Right?
But you know what that is, right? I think there's two things to correlate that, and we could get into some like economics because I know you're about that.
Yeah.
So money is risk, right? And there's a risk premium associated with money, and how you will spend that time or that risk will depend on what your efforts are.
It's like a physical manifestation of risk.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So a company, for example, if you're a startup company, you're willing to risk your whole life and your whole time for this venture, right?
Yeah.
And then some people are like, I'm only willing to risk 8 hours of my day because that's what I'm comfortable in risking, because I don't want to go, I can't do 16.
I feel sorry for those people.
Yeah,
like,
so do I.
I just I have friends that are like that, and it's like, so we get to talking, and I have my entrepreneur friends that we get together, and like we go for dinner, and it goes for hours.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hours.
And the bill gets high too.
Yeah, whatever. That's a productive dinner.
Oh yeah,
right.
For sure.
And then I have my my 9 to 5 friends whom I love and are great people, but like the conversations are very different
And they're draining.
Yeah,
They're
it's
draining.
It's just very transactional. Did you see the Leaf game? What are you guys doing this weekend with the kids? And like, I don't like, again, it's good being around them, and they're positive people, but like, I don't feel like when I leave those dinners, I don't feel like I've grown. I just feel like I've just repeated the same thing. Okay, well, we're going to talk about our kids. We're going to talk about, work and blah, blah, blah.
You're just checking in.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just checking in.
Exactly.
You're still breathing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
See you in a month.
But like those meetings, those dinners that we have with people that are building businesses, like you just never stop talking.
Yeah.
And like you walk out of those meetings just energized, because
Yes.
you're just like, you're feeding off the stuff that they're throwing down, and they are just out there.
You're an
every
energy guy,
day.
aren't you?
Yeah.
You're an energy guy.
Yeah.
I'm an energy guy too. I get sparked by energy.
Sure.
I don't like to be around people and things that bring down my energy. My energy has to be up all the time.
And my energy was not always like this, though.
I don't know. You grew up to that, be that person.
But
right?
but like, I mean, I went through a period in my life where the energy was not there at all.
Of course. Same here.
You know?
Because we're based on energy.
Yeah.
So you were probably in the wrong environment. You weren't inspired.
Yeah.
You weren't. You knew you wanted more for yourself. You felt like you plateaued.
Yeah.
I go through that all the time. Jason goes through that too. Well, I don't want to speak for Jason, but but some days I just know his energy's off. I'm like, hey, buddy, what's wrong? Because you're my energy guy. What's up? Because at 5 a.m. he's like, yo. Right. So if he's off, I'm like, hey, what's going on? And that's the people you want to be around, who check your energy.
Sure.
Like, hey, what's going on? All right, relax today. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of like, I'm an energy guy.
Yeah.
I go off a lot of I'm all intuition as well.
Yeah.
And trust your gut, man.
So what is it like now as a mortgage agent and this energy factor? Like,
Broker. Yeah. Agent just sounds so, rudimentary.
Come on, man.
There you go.
Sir Charles,
Sir
man.
Charles. So, I spent a decade at RBC as a mortgage rep.
Yeah.
Right? And so, I was self-employed, but not. Right.
Yeah.
I had the big lion behind me, and so when I was talking to clients, I always felt great because I had the brand behind me, right?
Right.
And then I started asking questions of, okay, well, what's my brand?
Yeah.
Right? Where am I in this?
Who's Charles?
Right. Am I at York University again, or who am I? Why do people come to me?
Right.
Do they come to me because of the lion, or do they come to me because of me?
Right.
And then you start asking those questions. And that started happening about like 3 years ago.
Right.
Right. So I was at a point in my career where I had a very cushy T4. I had basically no balance in my life because I was a transaction guy. And in the bank world, you've got to do 150 deals a year to make a decent income. Yeah. So you're just constantly in a transactional, like, sausage factory.
Yep.
You're up at 4:30, you go to the gym, but then you're dialed in from like 8 o'clock, tied to your desk until 9 o'clock at night. And I had a team under me, right? So I had associates and assistants and everything else. But even then, it was not manageable.
Yeah.
And again, looking at those bubbles in my life, none of them were working.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Right? I had the security, the money was going in the account, right? But I had nothing else.
Yeah, money without a purpose is the worst feeling.
It's a byproduct of what the work is, right?
So you have interesting, like very similar to me. I was in the banking world like since I was 17.
Yeah.
So I always say that the bank raised me, like BMO raised me.
Yep.
BMO made me the man I am today. So shout out to all the people.
You first started off at BMO?
Yeah, I started off at BMO.
I know you have the CIBC guy.
And then I went to CIBC.
Yeah.
And then I came to Mortgage Alliance with Vine Group. But tell me about yourself and how you got into the mortgage industry.
Yeah, so it's a really funny story. So after university, again, completely directionless, no idea what to do. And I met up with a buddy of mine, and he had just got back from Japan.
Okay.
Right? And he's telling me all the great things that he was doing there and how much fun it was. And I'm like, I got to do something. I got to change the direction, because right now, like, I had zero, like, do I write my LSAT? Do I want to do my MBA? I didn't know. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to take a year and I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to go there and I'm going to really, really try to like think about it. And I encourage like everybody, if you have the opportunity between like university, high school, or whatever, to take a year off and travel somewhere in the world. Because I'm telling you, there is no better education than learning how to live a life in another country where you don't speak the language.
We spoke about that in the last podcast.
Every day is the amazing race.
Oh, yeah.
Every day. Like, you want to open up a bank account? Good luck. You don't speak the language.
Scavenger
right?
hunt.
Yeah.
Scavenger
well,
hunting.
so I flew into Kansai Airport at 1 o'clock in the morning in Osaka. And I had a photocopy of a map with a little X on it, all in Japanese, of where my apartment was. Right. So on the plane, it's an 18-hour flight.
Yeah.
And on the plane, I learned basic rudimentary Japanese. Right. It's not hard. It's just basic stuff. Right. So I would immediately try to apply it, because I had no idea how to even leave the airport.
Yeah.
Right? So I would stop someone. I would say, "Simasen, gomennasai. Excuse me, can you help me?" I would point at the map and I would literally say, "Straightto, lefto, righto." Right? And then they say, "Straightto, straightto." So I'd walk for like a few minutes straight, and then I'd stop someone else. Simasen, gomennasai. I'd point at the map, straightto, lefto, righto. It took me 3 hours, but I found my apartment.
Nice.
Right?
Wow, that's sick.
But that was my first day. And then again, every day was kind of like that. Figuring out the transit system, how to get around, ordering food was a whole different thing.
Right.
Like food that I'm like, you can eat that? Like, yeah, that's what we eat here. So having that cultural shock. Because
You went by yourself?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you again, like I got hired by a company here, but that was the only thing that I had. There's no real like infrastructure. Right. So the people that I met there became my family. Right. And they become your community. Right. Yeah. There was a tight-knit group of people that were from Australia, from the US, from Canada. And that became my family for a year.
Nice.
Like, we spent all of our time together, and we all lived together. And again, so when I came back, again, like you plan to go, I'm going to think about what I want to do. When I come back, I'm going to have direction. Nope. Still no fucking clue.
Dude.
So again, I had a lot of fun when I was there.
Yeah.
I came back with no money. I remember when my parents picked me up at the airport, my dad was like, "So, like, how much money did you save?" I'm like, "Can you swap me $10 for a beer? Because I have no money left."
What do you mean? Japan has a nightlife. It has
buddy.
It has a cultural with sneakers,
yeah.
jeans.
I taught English during the day, and I bartended at nighttime.
Okay.
So I saw two sides of the culture, and it was so fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, so I live in a place called Juso. So Juso is a prefecture in Osaka, and it is referred to as the love hotel capital of Japan. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And when I say love hotel, I'm not talking that's where you take your wife on the honeymoon.
I know what you mean.
Right? You check in for an hour and you check out, and that's your thing, right? Yeah. So, but that was where I lived. So in my mail, you get flyers now for real estate and whatever. Yeah. I would get flyers for porn.
Oh my gosh!
Right? Just to give you an idea of what goes, like, the cultural difference between.
So they have a big culture like that.
Again, so
Juso.
Yeah, and
I know nothing about this.
It was like
I'm learning.
They're very conservative in some respects, but in other respects, they're completely unhinged.
Oh wow!
Like, just stuff that I saw. Like, I can't even repeat on radio. Right? Like, but again, you see it like, wow, that's different. I didn't expect that to happen. So I came back, no money, still no direction. And then, so my dad said to me, he's like, "Okay, well, you're going to come work for me." Right. So I'm like, I really don't have any options here.
Yeah.
I got to do something.
So
I can't just sit on the couch and watch TV all day. So, I committed to my dad for a year, and my dad ran a construction business.
Oh, wow.
Right. So I know when you think Jew, you think construction, obviously. And so I helped him run the business, like the office and the finance piece of it, because I had some background in finance. And 1 year turned into 5.
Wow. Nice.
No, it wasn't nice. Working with family is difficult. right?
Yes.
And, you know, my father and I, we never really had a very close bond because my dad worked all the time.
Yeah.
Like he worked all the time. The first 5 years of my life, I never saw him because he was commuting back and forth to Montreal, running his business and everything else. So then I came into it and I'm like, wow, this would be a great opportunity to bond with my dad and everything else. But my dad, again, grew up in that, you know, 50s where it was like, you know, father, son, hey, son, good job. And that's the most attention or affection you're going to get, right?
Man up.
So, right, exactly. So it was a very difficult 5 years. And that's really where I struggled. And when I was talking about energy and where it all went, like I was in a really bad place because not only was I not where I thought I would be, I was really in the hole.
Yeah.
Like, you know, financially, emotionally, physically, mentally, like all those bubbles, no bubbles.
So you knew it in the moment, or do you know it looking back?
I knew it probably about a year in that
Okay.
this was going to end really badly.
Okay.
But I couldn't finish, right? I couldn't abandon my dad because it was a tough business and it was right around the recession and everything else. So construction was a really tough business.
Yeah.
It's a brutal
You have to
business.
squeeze everything at that time.
Everything. And we were a sub-trade, right? So, you know, we worked for larger corporations like Torbridge Grasscan, Acon,
PCL.
So they may get these huge construction contracts for hundreds of millions of dollars, but then they would squeeze the sub-trades because when their margins got tight, you squeeze the sub guys, right? So we were one of the sub guys. And anyways, so while I was, you know, with my dad running his business, I needed to make money because I wasn't making any money with my dad. Like nothing. Right?
You're this family member, so sacrifice.
Yeah. And I signed on corporation documents. Like my name was on the line because my dad could no longer take on any debt. It was just a really bad situation. And so, you know, on the side, I started working back in restaurants and bars because that was something that I knew I could do and make quick cash at. And it was a place that I could at least escape kind of the day that I was in because it was terrible, right? And I was miserable. So as things wound down with my dad, I was working at a restaurant and this guy would come in every couple of months from Chicago. Super good guy, not a typical American. He was very classy, very elegant guy, and he was always very good to me, right? And, you know, after 6 months of serving this guy and his friends would come in and he was like, Charles, like, what the fuck do you do?
I work at the restaurant.
And I'm like, well, I just wrapped up, you know, with my dad and I do this. He's like, how would you like to come work for me? I'm like, what do you do? He's like, I own a mortgage brokerage. What do you know about mortgages? I'm like, that I want one. I knew nothing, right? So this was when I was 27.
Okay.
You know, not too long ago. And so he took a chance on me, and the firm was based out of the States. So I spent some time in Chicago kind of learning the underwriting piece of the business. And this is around 2005, 2006. So fun times in
the
finance.
greatest time ever.
Yeah, you can fog a mirror, you get a mortgage, right? So we were one of those kind of alternate lenders, kind of like underneath like a Wells Fargo. So kind of like an alternate A lender.
You did the ninja mortgages.
Yeah, 5% down and, you know, crappy credit, that's okay. We'll still give you a mortgage. And so again, I knew nothing about the business, but I'm like, okay, here's an opportunity, right? And the energy, as soon as I felt like someone just gave me a little nudge, all of a sudden that confidence started to come back.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it started to come back. And then it kind of grew and grew and grew. And they eventually made me a regional manager at like 27 years old. I'm like, are you guys fucking crazy? like, what are you doing, right? Yeah. But the fun part about that is because I have background in economics and finance, I would actually get to sit in on the securitization meetings.
Okay.
So how we lent money was off a commercial line of credit, and then we would then basically sell that portfolio to investors, and then we replenish the line of credit and then re-lend out. So, you know, the first meeting that we had, the guys from Deutsche Bank and Lehman Brothers, they flew out on their corporate jets. We all went out for a steak dinner. And out of a stack of 1,000 files, they bought like 95% of them all at a premium. Oh, wow. Right? Because it was Canadian mortgages. Right. These things were unstoppable because nobody defaulted on Canadian mortgages. It was just not the trend. So our larger company was based out of the U.S., and they were just getting killed.
Yeah.
Right? So about 6 months after this first really cool meeting where I was a regional manager and all this responsibility, the next meeting happened. And instead of flying out, these guys drove out. Instead of going out for steak dinner, we had select sandwich. And out of those same stack of 1,000 files, they bought 5.
Oh, wow.
So you could see the writing on the wall. But again, I was fiercely loyal, and I stayed there right to the very end. So I was there when they shut the lights out and everything else.
So what year was that when they...
This was 2007, 2008 when they shuttered. So again, so now I'm without a job again. Right?
And where were you? Were you living in the States or you living?
No,
in
I was here. I was here in
okay.
Toronto. And so I came out of that and I'm like, okay, well now what do? I've got all this experience and now I've got some confidence under my belt. So, I wanted to go to the retail side. So I wanted to become a broker. Right. So I went to go interview with one of the brokerages and they were one of my clients when I was with that lender. And of course they hired me on the spot, right, which was cool. And so I immediately started trading on the retail space. But wholesale and retail are two very different client interactions.
Yep.
And this is right after the whole meltdown and God, like who's this bank and what? I don't want to sign that. And so even though like I knew a lot about the industry and a lot about how mortgage lenders work and all the background, because I was showing them documents from like Macquarie. Remember Macquarie, the Australian bank, right?
No, I never.
Yeah, they were here and MCAP and Street.
Oh yeah,
all these guys. Yeah. So a client's sitting there, and I've done a great job kind of explaining what it is, and the process and everything else. But they're like, I don't know who that is. I don't feel comfortable, right? So I was like, okay, this is stupid. This isn't working for me. So I was 6 months in, and I wasn't getting any traction. I was getting frustrated, and the energy starts going down again.
Yeah,
like, this is not.
I've been in that situation before too.
Right?
No, like I sent a client out to a mortgage broker to get a mortgage. She had to go to some bank that we never heard before.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I'm not signing the doc. I'm like, just get the money.
Right.
Take the money.
Take the money.
It's still green.
But the thing is that it's not like you're giving them the money. They're giving you the money.
Yeah.
Right? It's like I'm not loaning the bank money. They're lending me money. What's the problem?
Well, that's why TD, RBC, and CIBC, they win.
That's right.
All the marketing, right?
That's right.
It's like McDonald's. It's like Coca-Cola.
It's just
like
branding.
It's just branding.
We're used to certain brands and like, unfortunately, without lack of awareness, people view that as lack of stability.
Yep.
Right.
So they don't even know. They're saying they don't like something. They don't even know it.
They don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys a funny story. So when I first started off in real estate, I was that shiny, polished kid. I didn't even know about credit.
You're still shiny. You're still shiny.
And my mortgage broker said, pull your credit, and my credit score was like 750. So I started getting all these TD, CIBC, RBC,
Everybody
National Bank, everything. Then when I got to like my 6-7 property, I started getting like Habib Bank.
Yeah.
All these credit
you don't
union.
speak English. It's okay.
Just all these things. And
You just have to pay a little bit more, Eric. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I remember there's this one bank. I can't remember the name. Oh, I even have a bank, a mortgage at SBI, State Bank of India.
Yeah. Woo.
Just God knows when I need a mortgage statement, it's the hardest thing to get. But,
Sure, right. Yeah.
But anyways,
there's a 1-800 you call and it's God knows where. And
but I think now it's people are now starting to realize that these banks exist. But it just brought back memories where you were saying like, fuck, I can't sell anything because people they think it's a scam.
Yeah, and they think it's all back alley money.
Yeah,
right?
And then Canadians are super conservative.
Yep.
If that was in the States, it'd be like, where do I sign?
Right, because everybody was a bank in the States.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's what led to the shit falling apart.
Exactly.
Because everybody have their own rules. Right? So like, if you wanted to be a bank and, like in Canada, we have guidelines, right? Like you can only lend to so many people, so much money. But in the US, there's no such thing.
You know what I appreciate about Canadians? They stay in their lane. Not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
They're not going to take that risk.
But it makes your life easier.
Makes my life easier.
Yeah.
Less competition.
Sure.
If you go to US,
everyone
is a big wig.
What's your dream? Everybody's got a pretty woman, right? Everyone's got a dream.
Everyone got a dream.
I think because in Canada, like there's certain things you don't have to work as hard for it, as, like healthcare. So I think that's
that's actually a good point because in the States, like if you have to have your appendix out,
you need revenue.
You need revenue.
Yeah,
You need money. That's like
you need money.
But that's the thing, we take that for granted.
You break your leg,
you're screwed.
You get shot.
You got to fix it yourself.
I see movies when a guy gets shot. He goes, "No, don't take me to the hospital. Just take me to my grandma's house.
She'll fix me up
because he doesn't want that $50,000 bill after."
No one wants that, right? So
you
could go bankrupt for that.
We take it for granted.
We do,
right?
we do.
I mean, and again, it is not free healthcare.
No,
it's subsidized, right? Like we pay taxes.
The ambulance isn't free here. You know that?
No,
right?
you got to pay now.
I was so pissed once. I got into a car accident. I wasn't even injured. I told them I'm okay. They put me in the back of the ambulance. I went there. They checked me out right away. And I got a $40 bill. I was so pissed. I barely didn't pay it, and they said they would ruin my credit.
Yeah.
So
We're
I
taking
paid
collections.
on an ambulance ride.
Yeah. When I was at accredited, so again, we dealt with clients that had really bruised credit. My favorite was it was consistent. There was a collection from Culligan Water Service. Like the jugs of water, right? So these sales guys would go out to these little businesses and say, we're going to set you up with filtered water and blah, 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 we'll change it. But for some reason, I guess the way the payments were set up, none of these things were ever being paid. And they would go in all the collections. And it would tank people's credit, right? Because they would put them in collections for $600 and tank their credit, right? And no one had any idea. Because I'd say, listen, Mr. Klein, you got a collection here for Culligan water. He's like, Culligan, what are you talking about, man? I haven't used this thing in 6 years.
You're still getting
because they probably canceled it.
Exactly.
Or they didn't cancel it properly.
Exactly. And it's in contract, so you're with me for 10 years.
Right. And then we have freedom to assign the debt to somebody else. So then once they get a hold of it, then they're just squeezing you. You're screwed.
So when you transitioned to the bank, right?
Yep.
What did you find the difference when you were selling to your clients? Because obviously you had clients that didn't qualify to the A lender, so it's a different ball game. Because I did the reverse. Like I was in retail in the bank, and then I went out to the brokerage world, and then I was like, okay, now I can actually talk to you. Right. Because the bank is like, credit. Oh, sorry. Like I can't even look at you.
Right. Yeah. So again, at RBC, obviously we have, at the time we had like 27% of the market share, right? So why I chose to work for RBC specifically is because there was a firewall between them and brokers, right? So when you were, when you're a rep at BMO or TD or one of the other lenders, is you're competing against brokers because brokers can offer your product at sometimes even better rates. Right. Whereas I'm thinking, and when I interviewed with all the banks, I got offers from all of them, and I looked at them like, okay, well, where can I really make a difference? Right? Where can I really carve out a niche? Right. And because brokers can't sell RBC product, and RBC is 27% of the market share, that's the lane I want to be in. That's how I'm going to build my business. Right. So, and again, like you can't help everybody, right? But we had at RBC, we had this thing called alternate mortgage solutions, where if you couldn't get it done, it wasn't an A deal, you would basically work with a broker within the RBC network to take them to the home trust and the equitables. But again, you put a lot of work into it, and you don't get paid much of anything, right? So I did that for 10 years, right? And I think in our conversations about being an entrepreneur and like a business owner, like I was a business owner. I wasn't an entrepreneur, right? Like I wasn't doing anything to change the industry or change the way people perceive me. I would just, I worked my own hours and I came and go as I pleased, and no one told me what to do, which is great. But I wasn't having an impact. Right. And I'm like, okay, what do you want your legacy to be?
Right.
What do you want to be? Like you want to do this for 25 more years and then retire and make 1/3 of your income?
You get a nice pin though.
I get a nice pin.
And the cake.
Yeah. And so that's when, again, I can't pinpoint the moment when it happened, but I just said to myself, this is not where I'm going to finish. I don't know where I'm going to end up, but I know that's not going to be here. And it was hard because I was making a lot of money. I had a family. I had all these things I had to take into consideration. And a week before I resigned, I found out we were pregnant with our 3rd kid.
Oh, wow.
Right? Wow. So now the pressure's on. Now you're like, holy shit, this is for real. And, like the guy, my direct manager was a friend of mine, right? And it was very difficult to let him know that I was leaving because he had no idea, didn't see it coming. Nobody saw it coming because I was the downtown guy, right? Like I handled all the RBC executives and took care of all the high-value clients and everything else. So I had built up a little brand within RBC of being the guy that people go to with great jobs or equity, whatever it is, and they would use me. So again, I didn't know what he was going to do. I didn't know if he was going to cry, if he was going to punch me or whatever, right?
What did he do?
He was happy for me. He was like, he was happy for me. And again, it was emotional for me because he's a friend, and I felt like I was letting him down, right? But I knew that this was the right choice, right? And then the more interesting thing happened a week later is, again, we were just kind of onboarding with Vine, and I was just kind of sitting there at my desk, and my wife is like, your energy is different. I can't put my finger on it, but you just seem calmer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because, in the RBC world, in the mortgage bank world, you're just running like this. You never have a time to take a minute and pause and then look at the picture.
Correct.
Right? Because you're so dialed in on transaction, and you're just not appreciating anything.
So what's your life looking like being a mortgage broker at Vine Group? Like, what's the routine? How did it change up? What's the new flow?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So like I'm only 4.5 months in now. Like, I've only been around since September.
Okay.
So a lot of it is like kind of drinking from a fire hose, which is cool because it's all this new information that I have to intake, right? All these different lenders and options and everything else. And so when we left as a team, so there was a few of us that left at the same time, we said, okay, well, what do we want to be at Vine? Right? I don't want to just be another regular mortgage agent.
Your identity.
I want something different, right? So like we have this, internal team, we're the catch team at Vine Group. And, we've tried to kind of, build like kind of our own presence within Vine Group in the sense that like we want to add value to all the agents that are in Vine Group, right? And bring our experience because we're all experienced bankers.
Right.
And, as experienced bankers, one of our core functions is partnering.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And like when you work at the bank, you're always behind on rates. Right. Always. Right. So you got to bring in partners to make it make sense for the client. Right. So if you have someone that's self-employed, let me bring in my commercial banker. You have investments, let me bring in my PH&N guy. Yeah. Let me help you out. Let me bring in the different spokes that make this work. So
make it sticky.
Yeah. Right. But what I liked about the Vine Group value proposition, and again, we talked to everybody. Right. Like we spent 2 years in due diligence. Like this is not, this is not something that we just like threw a dart against and was like, well, the Vine Group, that sounds good. We spent 2 years.
Oh, so you came over with your own squad?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
came over his team.
Yeah. So we
all these sharp guys walking through.
Yeah. So when
change of guard.
When we left, we were kind of like, okay, well, it's great that we're going to do this, but like, what do we want to do at Vine that's going to really change the way things are done? Because that's what I care about, right? Because a lot of the stuff that goes on in this industry is bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. And like, there's just certain things that are perceptions that we want to change. Right. And again, because, guys like Jason and other agents at Vine, like they take this approach that like, client first.
Yep.
Right. You take care of the people take care of you.
Always.
Right. And so, and that also kind of dovetails into kind of like how we physically, start our days. Right. And where we choose to do work. So we're at the WeWork space. Jason's there with us as well. Right. And again, this was an idea that we had because when you come from the bank, you've got your branch and you've got your office that you can go to. Clients can come there, they feel safe and they can talk about their information. Whereas most brokers, mortgage brokers, they work from their basements or maybe at the Starbucks and, when you're a client and you're discussing confidential information, you don't feel great about like going to a Starbucks and then like, it's full. There's no tables. Let's just stand here and chat and tell me about
That's
your life.
the worst. When you go make an appointment, you're like, oh, I'm going to go to the Starbucks.
Yeah.
And you walk in, it's full. And then you're like,
the panic sets in. You're like, oh shit, are we standing outside?
Let's go to this Pizza Nova.
I'll buy you a slice. I'll buy you a slice of pizza.
Yeah. Like for me, even with my business, it's like, I'm always learning and, me being the CEO and the president of the company, I'm always trying to like look for ways to get better. And the one thing that I never slack off on is presentation, because people always forget what you did for them, but I always remember how you made them feel.
I like that.
Yeah.
Right. So
the emotional
connection, like, Aaron's expensive, but man, when I'm with him, that Perrier water is amazing. That office is dope. I just want to visit it again.
Experience.
I need a reason to come back.
The experience.
Right? And I tell people all the time, come on down, come see me. And people literally just want to pop in and say hi and just have that feeling, that experience.
Because the vibe, the energy is great when you come in.
And then they can say something, I can run off for 30 minutes and inspire them more. So
and then they leave happy and cool and you've done something and it's a small thing, but it changes the way people live their lives on a day-to-day basis. So, and again, at the WeWork space, like there's 1,200 members in there.
I gotta come visit you guys there.
You have to come visit. And we have rooms like this. Nice. We can do the podcast there, bring people down. But like part of the concept was we wanted people to feel that like this, think of this as like a branch environment, right? So here's a professional place where you can come and do business. You have a downtown address and you can have presentations and they get to network with 1,200 other people that are also entrepreneurs.
Not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
Right. So again, like these are just small things that we've tried to do to kind of just change, our presence in the community and our presence in the broker space at large. And like one of the things that I work on just with some of the lenders is that like, right now when we have one of those monoline lenders that no one's heard about, the client will get an email from our people saying, you've been approved, congratulations. And the first time the client hears the name of the lender is when they open the commitment and it's just kind of blank, this black and white paper. It's like, congratulations, your commitment is with XMC or RMG or Street Capital. And these people are like, who the fuck are they?
Yeah.
Right? So again, like a lot of that is still kind of educating people as to where monolines fit in the process, where lenders fit in the process. But again, that's a lot of work.
So you guys spend a lot of time educating ahead of time, right?
So, but again, part of my mandate is, well, how do we make this better?
Right.
Right. So I've gone to these monoline lenders and I said, guys, listen, like you've got a great story. right? But no one knows it.
Yeah.
So I need you guys to create a one-page marketing piece that I can send with these commitments.
Yeah.
So now I don't have to sell you, right? You know your company better than I do.
You're just packaging it.
Yeah.
Putting that bow on top.
But it just prevents me from trying to oversell something that, again, you talk and talk and talk, and the more you talk, the more people are like, that's too much talking.
I always tell people, I'm not in the convincing business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you come to me, you know you're coming to me because I'm going to get the job done.
Yeah.
And if you need me to convince you why you need the product, just leave it on the table.
Yeah.
It's okay. Someone else would take it, right? Yeah. I love the approach that you're taking because at the end, it's just doing a little bit more.
Sure.
You know, I find a lot of people come into this business thinking money first.
Yep.
So when you think money and transaction first, you always lose.
Yep.
Yeah, that's tough.
When you come in thinking, I'm going to change the game.
Yep.
I want to change the way things are being done right now. Like, for example, Jason and I, well, he was beating me up for a little bit when he first came and partnered with me. Multifamily. And I'm like, man, I don't know. Tenants. But now we found a creative way of getting back into multifamily, making it fun and cool by going into the co-living space.
Yeah.
Right? Because it now challenges my mind.
Right, but this is, again,
to build something different.
Looking at the opportunity and kind of looking where people need to live.
Right.
Right. And you're solving real problems because
Finding the gaps.
Yeah, because we look at applications all day long and like these poor people are just like, they make good money, but because they're not able to save to outstrip inflation of the larger asset class, they're stuck.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So they make, $100,000 a year. Great. Right. You can carry a $500,000 mortgage, but I want to buy for 1.2. I'm like, you've saved like 50 grand.
Yeah.
Right. So there is a huge gap, right? Like I have one client that is now working on laneway projects. Laneway project. You heard of this,
nice.
right?
Yeah,
We have some.
Yeah. So like this is where we need to go. So like he'll buy a property that has that extra 10 feet of laneway space, and he's gonna build a functional property.
We hope the city
build a coach house.
Yeah, coach house, exactly.
The city needs to move to approve more of that stuff
I know.
because we have a lot of shortages.
Yep.
But I think what happens is, like you're saying, the expectation theory with people with their incomes and what they want. It's because of the way the city is moving, like know. And I guess I want to, you said that you like your economics and stuff. So as we're moving on, I just want to ask you, like, what do you feel about the Toronto market? Like, you've been in this industry for 10 plus years, so
on all sides.
Yeah, on all sides. So
like from like a real estate point of view, I think, again, the numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
Right? Like we've got an average of 250,000 people that are coming into the city every year.
Okay.
And then we're landlocked in the sense that we've got the lake on one side and we've got the escarpment on the other. So that gives us a geographical challenge. Right. So unfortunately, again, for people that are looking to get into the market, we are going to continuously see that kind of bump every year. And again, you're going to have those bumper years like right now, where again, we're into that perfect storm where rates are getting super low, the banks are tightening up on policy, and there's not a lot of inventory. And we're working with clients right now that are trying to get into the market, and it's so discouraging because they see these properties that are listed for $999, $999, like the Walmart pricing psychology.
They get excited, then it sells for 1.6.
Yeah, and again, these people are being used as kindling, right? Like they walk in with their offers, they're so excited, and they see the 10 other cars lined up, right? And the problem is that they're competing against people that have been trading in the real estate market for the past decade. So they don't care if they overpay for the house by $100,000 because they're going to sell their house for 50% more than what they paid for.
Right.
Whereas the first time home buyer is kind of like, I'm limited. Like I've got $75,000.
Right.
That's all I have to put down.
Correct.
So like I don't have that. And again, you can go to the bank of mom and dad. That's not fun. No. Right. So I think, we're challenged there, which will again keep that real estate frothiness going. And then again, just given what happened yesterday, the Bank of Canada cutting 50 basis points, like, I've got a pretty strong opinion on that. Like, I think that it's probably unnecessarily kind of inflating the market even more.
It is.
Right? Because to cut 25, I think would have been prudent. Right?
Yeah.
But to cut 50, and I know the U.S. Fed did it, but to cut 50, it signals to people that things are worse than what you have heard. Right? And again, when people get fearful, they get anxious. And when people they get anxious, they make mistakes.
Or they make jumpy decisions, right?
Yeah, they make emotional decisions. Like my wife was at Costco the other day, and the amount of people walking with shopping carts filled with stuff that they're going to need in case they get sick was mind-blowing.
So I think one of the biggest challenges, I said it on one of our recent episodes, like us giving advice. Because today I could be talking to a client and the condo is worth 400. And then by May, when we start seeing like 239 and 199 all over the place, people are gonna pay like 440 for that same thing. Right. And I keep on saying to people, it's not about the price.
Right.
I find our customers are worried about how much are they paying monthly. Sure. So if I want to pay, let's say $2,000 a month, and the place that I'm buying, it may only be worth on paper 400,000, but I can still pay $2,000 a month and pay 440. Because I want to move in here, I'll pay 440. So price is determined. It's not about how much something is worth. It's about how much someone pay for it.
What's going to cost you.
Right? So how do you, as a mortgage professional, deal with that when, we could be doing a pre-approval for a customer today, but their expectations may change. Like, how do you approach that? And like, what are some tips for the people out there?
I'm hard on clients. Like, I want them to go through this process, and I'm gonna educate them. And sometimes it's not a fun conversation, right? Because a lot of times, like, they're listening to what their friends are telling them. Right. Oh, my buddy just bought a $600,000 condo, and blah blah blah. I'm like, well, listen, you're not your friend, man. Yeah. Like, everybody's application is different. Right. Everybody has a different story. And again, Jason will agree. Most applications, there's a story.
Always.
Right. Like, it's very rare that we get one of those cookie cutter deals that falls into every bucket perfectly. There's always something, a separation. I lost my job for 6 months, or, I started a new business, and nothing is straightforward and cookie cutter. So what I try to tell people is that, we're going to do our very best to get in front of this process and do all of our due diligence up front. You said to me that your payment threshold is this. This is how much. I don't care what my application says. This is what you can afford. Right? Because okay, I've done my cash flows, and it's like, I can get you into this property, but you're going to be macaroni and cheese and Mr. Noodles for the next 4 years. Are you okay with that? Right? So a lot of it is educating and saying, okay, well, first let's find out what your threshold is. Okay. In terms of a monthly, this is what I can afford, boots on the ground. Because when we do a mortgage application, we're using gross income as a means to qualify, which again is great when you're trying to get a deal done. But the reality is
that not your net.
That's not what you're putting in your pocket, right? Yeah. So when you say your total debt service is 40% on the computer, it's actually closer to 70. Right. When you factor in taxes and HST that we pay on goods and services and everything else, like, our effective tax rate is like 80%. Right. So I always ask people, like, listen, guys, like, I don't care what my computer says. This is like boots on the ground. This is what you got to pay every month. This is not like a fantasy number, right? Like, in the States, like, don't worry, you don't have to pay it. It's okay. But in Canada, you got to pay your mortgages, right? So it's educating them on kind of, okay, understanding what your stress points are, right? And setting goals. Like, what is your goal? What do you want? Yeah. Right? Those are the questions I always ask.
It's like mortgage planning. Instead of like, I find a lot of people, it's just like they wake up in the morning. Like, lenders even say that. No one wakes up in the morning and says, I want to buy a house. I'm like, well, people do it all the time.
Yes. And then you get the clients that call you and say, Charles, I'm thinking like a year away. I'm just feeling it out. And then 3 days later, you get a call like, I'm making an offer in 4 hours. Right?
You get excited, but then it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Are they really prepared for this?
Right. And that's why, and our process at Vine is to do all that grunt work up front. All up front, do the painful stuff up front, and then relax.
So in this industry, do you feel like you kind of have to now wear multiple hats in terms of kind of like thinking like a realtor, thinking like an investor, thinking like a mortgage guy as well?
So again, our clients will sometimes bring realtors to the table. This is my realtor. I'm like, okay, let's find out who this person is, right? And I want to talk to that realtor because I want to know what your proficiency is in a multiple offer situation. Right. So I'll test them. Right. Like, what are you doing to prepare your clients? Right. I want to know.
And you want to guide them too, right? Right. You're basically saying like, here's the blueprint to go into battle. Yeah. Don't show him a house for 1.2.
Right. But realtors are a funny group. Right. Because again, unfortunately, a lot of them are driven by that commission. And they say, well, if I pay for more, I get more. And, we try to align ourselves with people that, again, put the client first, right? The client will take care of you, take care of them.
I've been finding myself having to be super creative for some of my clients. I'll give you an example. I said to my client, listen, you have a condo, it's $600,000, you pay $200,000, you have $400,000 there. Oh, I need a bigger space. Okay, cool, no problem. But this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna go buy a multi-family building, and you're gonna go live in the upstairs. And you're gonna rent out the next 4 units. And you're going to use that income in that building to help you qualify for this building. And then you're now going to take that income to subsidize your payments. So it's going to be a lot cheaper for you.
Yep.
So for me, it's now advising clients on the type of products they need to be looking at in the marketplace.
And again, it's the same thing in our world where it's like, oh, what's your best rate?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, rate's a part of it. It's not
like
the only part of it, right?
What product are you buying?
Yeah, what's my prepayments? What if I want to sell?
Correct.
What happens? Because again, like when a client calls me up and the first question is, what's your best 5-year fixed rate? My first question to them is, why do you want a 5-year?
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? There's more?
Yeah.
They don't know.
Like I'm even saying
that's what's advertised.
Right. Yeah. And I'm even saying to my clients right now, I'm like, listen, the next move and next play you do, this is where you're staying for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. So don't say, oh, well, I'm going to start off and buy that 2-bedroom condo.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, you're single or you have a girl. You're going to have kids? How many? Don't even go there.
Right.
Go look for that house right now.
Yep.
In a location that no one's looking.
Yep.
Have no competition.
Yep.
Go to an area where
gentrifying.
Where we can get the zoning to maybe 5 years from now, make it a triplex.
Yep.
Make it a 4-plex. So you don't have to move. You can add on to your space.
See, this is what you don't get in the retail space.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The advisory piece where it's like, let's put a plan.
Let's put a plan in place.
Right.
Don't go pay $700,000-800,000 for a condo by the water. Go buy a house in Etobicoke, a bungalow for $800,000.
Yep.
Put a basement apartment in there.
Yep.
And then 5 years from now, add another story on top. Because you have the equity in the house now. You can use that as a construction loan to build a second story. You're good.
Because you understand that real estate is not a transactional business. Even though it is a transaction, it's not a transactional business. Correct. It is basically building a blueprint and a foundation.
Blueprint, man.
And again, like those clients will follow you through brick walls.
Yeah.
And that's what I find is like, when you see these realtors, they come through the door and on their cards, it always says top 1%, platinum club winner. I'm like, dude, there's 3 people in your office. I hope you're in the top 1%. Right? Like, I hope you are. So again, but a lot of them don't understand. They look at just the transaction. Yeah. They have those blinders on, but the wrong blinders.
Yeah. Right? You know what I'd like to say? I think there sometimes agents and both sides, mortgage agents and real estate agents, are like politicians.
Yeah.
They're only in it for the term.
Yeah. Right. Oh.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so they're not really.
They don't give a shit.
They're not.
Donald Trump.
No. I'm only here for 4 years. Or I'm only here for 8 years. I'm going to set a policy where I'm going to give you a product that's only good for right now. But it may not be good for you later, or the next, don't worry, the next guy will figure it out.
Right. But that's a big problem with our society is we create these systemic issues and it's like we're just trying to solve the problems in the here and now without thinking, what is this going to do to our generation after us? And I look at my kids, right? And I think, okay, well, how is this sustainable for them if they want to buy a property?
Yeah.
Right? Because we're creating this market where essentially, I have a cabana in my backyard. That's where my kids are going to have to live.
The way it's going.
Right? So again, we have to and that's why stuff like that, what you're doing with this the space that you're looking at is something that is outside the box.
Yeah.
Right.
And
you have to be outside the box.
That's something that we need. And
And
when you say something that to me, again, I get excited because I'm like, that is something that again has not been tapped into.
I need for example, your approach and the way you got Jason all the time, he teaches me a lot in terms of my approach of things, right? Do what's best for the client. I started this company a couple of years back called the Real Estate Assistance Program. And this is what kind of separated me. So I have this little formula that I use is I don't compete with anybody. I dominate.
Right.
So I always look where everyone else isn't looking.
Sure.
And then I find a handicap and I solve it.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, okay, my friends are young. They have good credit. They have income, no down payment. I'm in the house buying and flipping business.
Right.
So I'll purchase these properties that are decapitated.
Yep.
I'll build income suites in them.
Yep.
And then I'll sell it to my friends.
Yep.
They have the income, they have the credit, no down payment. Right. Out of my profits, I would hold back a mortgage for them and lend them the down payment.
Yep.
I'll fix them into the project for 5 years.
Right.
And say you can't sell it or nothing for 5 years. I'm your partner.
Yep.
And in 5 years, I know the market's going to go up. I refinance out the down payment. Right. So I was creating solutions for people to get into home ownership.
Right.
By doing a little bit of the work for them.
Sure.
I can't do that.
You're creating value.
Correct. So you guys are in the value creation business as well. So I'm not looking at clients and say, listen, forget about what your realtor is saying to you. Even if you don't even work with me, this is what you need to do. Yep. Find something that you're going to grow into for the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Yep.
And only put in your mind that you're only moving once. I'm not saying you're only going to purchase once.
Right.
Because your next purchases are going to be investment properties.
Right.
Properties that other people are going to carry for you and pay for you.
Sure.
But the place that you want to settle in, make sure it has income producing potential and potential for you to go up and back and in case you need to expand your family,
Yep.
or even now co-live with your family.
Sure.
Your parents are now, they sell their home.
Yep.
They get 800,000. You move them in with you, but you already created a section where they live.
Right.
And now you have 800,000. You can now go invest in the market.
Yep.
Be your parents' retirement.
Sure.
So now your approach, Jason's approach, we're creating a culture of people that they don't even know yet that we're repositioning their minds so they don't get affected by this market. So when I see hot markets coming and everyone's racing and rates, I don't even care about that because I'm not even looking in that direction.
That's not your lane.
I'm already looking. Like right now, we're looking to purchase 14-unit apartment buildings and stuff like that. And there's no bidding wars on that.
Right.
People are going after comfort.
Sure.
I'm going after what's coming in the next 10, 15, 20 years. Those 250,000 people we talked about coming into the city, where are they going to live? They need rental space.
Yep.
And that's what I'm focused on.
They're going to take your house.
I always looked at, when I was looking at kind of investment opportunities, I would always look for the coming soon signs. So like if you were looking at an area that was kind of run down and regentrifying, you would look for the coming soon Starbucks, coming soon, something that, again, these guys have got the demographic homework where they know the money's coming.
Like an anchor tenant.
Right.
And they're spending $100,000 to do the research for you.
Right. So essentially I would look for those coming soon signs like, okay, that's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because again, for you to do it and have access to the data, you've got Purview, you've got some stuff that you
Geo
can pull.
Warehouse.
Right. But at the end of the day, like these massive billion-dollar companies have invested a lot of money in identifying these as footprints.
And they land bank too.
Yeah.
20 years out.
Exactly.
20 years out.
Exactly. And again, they know the government's got money committed to those areas.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, okay, great. We know the money's coming. So we're going to buy this land dirt cheap.
Yep.
Right. And again, unfortunately, again, the people that are around those are going to get booted out.
Yeah.
And again, how do we solve for those problems? These are the larger questions that's going to, affect the city because, Toronto right now is becoming increasingly unaffordable for good people.
Yeah.
They have to work in the city. And I'm doing deals for clients now buying in Whitby that are commuting to Toronto.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, looking at your work, okay, is your life balanced? Remember those bubbles? Right. Is your life
Bubbles
balanced? Yeah. There's no fucking balance.
So what about, I brought this up too, but what about like people just maybe investing and then renting where it's convenient for them too?
Yeah.
Like sometimes that might be a better option.
That's the number one fundamental.
If the price is too much. Well, this society is built on home ownership, right? So I always say there's an emotional attachment to owning a home that I could never put on it because I don't have that. I don't get attached to homes or properties or.
You don't look at that like, oh, I sat in that corner and I drew.
Yeah, nah, it's fine. Like,
but I just feel like as professionals and people that come to us for advice, I think people call themselves professional. They don't take it serious enough.
Well, what I say to clients, again, talk about the emotional part of the equation. So they drive up to the house on the offer night and you see the 9 cars and you start to panic, you start to sweat, like this offer sucks. And you haven't even seen anything yet, right? Yeah. This offer sucks, we're going to lose, right? And I always tell people, listen, when you go into those situations, write your number down first. This is it. So you've got your opening offer, which is like 30, 40 grand below list, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you have that, you write it down. Actually take the physical act of writing it down and just saying, this is my fucking number. So no matter what, this is my walkaway number, right? And I don't care how many people I see or how emotional I get, you got to check that emotion against, this is the logical number that is going to, I can comp out and I can justify, right? And again, if you're going to overpay for a property that's 30, 40 grand, you know that you're going to make that back in the cap in the first couple of years, right? So that stuff is okay. But it's when you start to see these 100, 200, 300 grand over what you can afford is where I really have a problem.
Yeah, but I'm a licensed realtor as well. And, when I see offer dates on any listing, I used to say to my client, we're not going there.
Yeah, you're going to get killed.
It's a game. You already know what's going to happen, right? It's a guy who says, fundamentally, this is wrong, but I'm going to show these guys I have the bigger balls. I have the bigger pockets. So you're not even going off of fundamentals.
Ego.
You know what it's like, too? It's like, I feel like, when you're watching TV and people are at these art shows, like 50,000, 100, that's what it's becoming.
But in Australia, do you guys know what happens in Australia?
No.
They have open bidding for homes.
Oh, wow.
There's no such thing as, make me your offer, I'll put it in a... No. It's on a street, and the realtor will stand out there and say, our list price is X. Whoever wants to make an offer will show up on the street, and you'll literally sit there like this. Yep.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, like that to me at least takes that crazy emotional...
transparency.
Right. And again, I'm not saying that that's what we have to adopt, but maybe just a little bit of transparency where people are not getting that anxiety, emotional, like I got to buy this house and I'm going to overpay and whatever. But like when I watch that, I'm like, shit, like that's an interesting way to look at this.
The only way to really stop this bullshit that's happening is I would ban offer dates.
Yeah.
Because the reason being is,
or just list properties for what they're fucking worth.
Yeah,
right?
listed properties.
Well, that's hard too. I still think that's
but
hard.
listed properties. But stop offer dates. You want to know why? A lot of people aren't paying attention, but when there's an offer date, it gives them enough time to then zoom in on it.
Yep.
So if some people missed it who would have really had interested, but they're just too busy, then it will keep the market kind of like, there's that some competitors missed of some. But when you put it like March 10th,
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. Everyone's like,
all offers are final. No, we're not taking. You better put your best offer forward.
I don't like that game. I just want it to be bring your best offer at any given time and let's get it going because there's gonna be people who might have wanted it but missed out on it, or they're on vacation. They missed out.
And I also think they should put in some type of regulation that allows for some sort of buyer's remorse. Like there's no conditions is not safe. I don't think it's safe for anybody. The buyer, the seller. Yeah. It's not safe for
if the appraisal doesn't come in on any deal.
Yeah.
I say I'm buying it at the price.
Yeah.
Because that's almost like an upside down mortgage right there. It's upside down. It doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
Right? It's bad for the economy, and I don't like the game that's being played. I purposely do not participate in it. Right. And I purposely make sure my clients don't participate in it because that means I'm just feeding into the bullshit.
Why do you think it's set up that way structurally? As someone that's been around it, for 20 odd years.
I know exactly why it's set up. It's set up for realtors to just have ego. I sold this house 200,000 more asking.
Yeah. 106% over.
So it was all
because you listed it for $600,000. Of course,
so it's all marketing and it's all driven by the realtors.
Yeah,
and sellers aren't going to say no to it because it's more money in their pocket.
Yeah.
Right. But it's damaging to the industry because people who don't even know anything about real estate that just flukily get a family member's listing is playing the game. And then you're fucking up all the comps for the whole area.
That's just that's comps are everything, right? That's what sets the market. Like what I tell clients,
dangerous.
And again, like I will always ask, did you pull purview? Do you know what's going on in the area, right? Like, and the thing is I always look at who's the vendor, right? Ask that question first. How long have they been in the house? What's their stress point?
Yeah.
And Charles, you know what the crazy part is? Because getting a real estate license, all you need is a high school education.
Yeah.
Dude, you don't need to own real estate. It's just a couple of courses, and then you're an expert.
But here the crazy failed actor or model.
But here the crazy thing, and the reason why I can speak with this in confidence, I've been trained by people who own 100 apartment buildings, buy land, develop, and I see their approach. But when you start playing that game, it affects everybody because guess what? The land developer now, who's been land banking, is now going to sell you the land based on what he now knows what houses can sell for.
Yep.
So now the developer going in is looking at his margins and saying, okay, I can sell I have to sell these towns at 1.5 million.
Yep. Because the comps that are trading
because the comps are showing 1.5 because a one-off house sold for 1.5 million off of some BS.
Well, it's like those
everything just goes up for no reason.
But it's also like those the pre-construction sites.
Correct.
For condos, they're microcosms of economic activity, right? Where you walk in, you see all the red dots on the board and you panic. Yeah. And then the developer's like, everything's up 5%. Right. Based on what?
Yeah. Based on the fact that 10 of my friends bought those 10
because of demand. Well,
it happens. But the thing about it is it's all becoming a big spectacle. Yeah. Like these these openings of these condos are becoming like a who's
Well,
event.
it's like you watch the $1 Million Listing shows and everything else. Yeah. Right? These guys are all trying to drive that market where it's like we want to be flashy. We want to basically have the bottles of Dom Perignon on the table because people walk in, they see that, and the buying triggers start going. It's like these guys are successful. Look how much money they're spending on their presentation office, or they're flying in a speaker. Like I can't remember who came in recently, but I think it was Pharrell. They flew in.
Pharrell
Untitled.
Yeah, right. And again, I know that, right?
And everyone sent it to me. I'm like, guys, hype.
Right.
Where's the fundamentals behind this?
Yes. And again, you'd be shocked at how many people were there because of Pharrell. They're like, okay, he must support it.
Well, I got a chance to get a unit that Pharrell decided. But you know what happens is this. This is all it is. It's all an expectation. And what it is FOMO.
Yeah.
You're missing out.
The
whole market is driven on FOMO. If I don't buy this,
someone else will.
If I don't get this house this size, I don't have what Aaron has. Like, you know, so I think we all have to get back into this like mentality. What?
No.
I like this. It's good.
No, what?
No.
I'm on your side.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
good.
don't make people want to let those guys keep being in the spectacle, and we continue to be those straight line shooters. Because guess what? They're all gonna need us at the end of the day. When it's all said and done, they're gonna come back. I probably out of 100 clients I get, I probably only work with like 30 because I tell the next 70 things they don't want to hear.
Yeah.
And then they go work with the guy who's going to tell them what they want to hear.
Right.
5 years later, Aaron, I should have listened to you.
See, but that's what I love.
I'm okay with losing business.
But losing for the right reason.
For the right reason.
Right? I love ripping the Band-Aid off.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because, listen, I'm not going to waste your time.
Yeah.
Your time is valuable, so is mine.
And I'm going to be embarrassed when I see you 5 years from now. Like I have a client, he sat down here with me 2 weeks ago. He bought out in Oshawa 5 years ago on that bidding war shit. His house is still not the price that he bought it for. And it's 5 years later, and a new bidding war is about to start.
Everybody's like, rising tide moves all boats.
And now
not equally.
Now he wants to move, and now he's getting into a next bidding war. Right?
Exactly.
Poor guy.
Yeah. So, but the funny thing was, I showed him a property to buy in the Junction, and he didn't take it. It was an assignment deal. That property is now up $350,000, and he's upside down $200,000 because he went for the show.
Right.
I won a bidding war.
Yeah. Woo! Would he get a medal?
Like, you know what I mean? You're the last guy holding the bag.
Yeah.
I'm happy I lost. Like, you know, you should be happy you lost the bidding war.
Like, right. Oh, I lost that.
You know,
okay.
so at the end of the day, right? It's just, you know, it's hard for guys like us that truly care about our profession. And I'm not saying we get it right all the time. I make mistakes. I sometimes I miss the board, but I try to do the right thing, and I lose a lot of clients because of that. Because I'm not telling what they want. Oh, I can't live in a multifamily. You better live in a multifamily before you get forced to live in a multifamily.
Right.
Better live there when you can make it comfortable.
Want and need are two different things.
Exactly. So I always say to my clients, I say, listen, fundamentally, this is how real estate works. You run away where everyone's running, and you go where no one's looking, because they're going to eventually have to be forced to live where they're going to be forced there.
Yep.
But go there first so you can get the upside on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? Don't be like, oh, everyone's moving downtown. Okay, move to North York.
Yep.
Because guess what? Whoever can't afford downtown has to now move to North York. And you didn't pay downtown premium.
Sure.
So you're going to get the upside on it.
Yep.
When I was buying in Junction, people laughed. Oh, a lot of drugs and stuff in that area. Well, they're cleaning it up. Look, all these approvals. All you have to go to the city and see all the applications in there.
Right, the coming soon stuff.
Coming
That's
soon
what tells
stuff.
you, right?
I looked to see where the artists are going.
Yeah.
Where Starbucks are going.
Yeah.
And, you know, you go through a little pain, a little bit of sacrifice and wait, and then...
I'll give you an example. So, like, a few months back, a client of mine invited to an Anthony Robbins event.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, okay. Yeah, again, I have my feelings on that, but I'm like, I'm gonna go because you invited me.
Prosperity, I don't do those.
Right. So we go to this thing, and he has all his guest speakers, right? And you know, one of the guys was a Warren Buffett disciple, like one of his original investors, right? And he had this great story about how he was a Colorado River guide, and you know, he spent a decade doing that, and then you know, he became friends with someone that knew Warren Buffett, and because the river guide did such a good job on getting this guy to safety, he said, you got to come learn what I learned, and taught him about investing and buying stocks and everything else. So I'm like, wow, that's a really cool story. And there's like 4,000 people in this auditorium, right? And then he starts talking about like the seminar that he wants to host for select people in this room that want to learn our system, the Warren Buffett system of investing, right? It's tried and tested. The guy's the most successful investor in the world. So I'm like, okay, well, that sounds interesting to me. How much is it, right? So he goes, it's $4,000 for 3 days. I'm like, okay, $4,000 for that kind of value, that has value to me, right? Yeah. And he starts out at $4,000, and who would, you know, and there's like, you know, if there's people that will sign you up, and like only a few people kind of started to move in their chairs a little bit, and I was one of them. So I'm like, that's a value. I think $4,000, I can invest that.
I don't mind that.
Right, I don't mind that.
And you're already thinking the quality of people you're going to get to.
Right, but then all of a sudden, then he made his mistake. He's like, but for today, and today only, I'll do it for $2,500.
He discounted it.
More people start moving in their chairs, right? And then he's like, but this is such a select group of people, and I feel so positively about this, I'm going to do it for $999. And everybody starts running to the tables.
Wow.
And I just sat there. Yeah. And I'm like, this is the problem.
Yeah.
Right? That's the problem. Where everyone else runs, you run the other direction.
Other direction.
Right?
For sure, man. It's quality over quantity, man. Sometimes people pay more to be with a small select few of people.
Yeah.
They pay their tax, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be in a room with $1,000 people wishers.
Yeah.
Right. But you want to be in a room where everyone paid $100,000 to be there.
Yeah.
Because if you have $100,000 to spend to sit here for 8 hours
and learn,
how much more money do you have, and what are you doing? You want to be with those people.
Right.
And I'm not saying that's where everyone has to start off, but you always have to evaluate it that way.
Right.
Right.
Like the most value that I found in those speakers were the people that weren't selling anything. Like they had the girl from Molly's Game.
Okay.
Right. And she was a featured speaker, and I could listen to her for hours. Right. Because she told a great story. Like, this is my life story. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I don't have a book I'm trying to promote. This is just what happened to me. But what I learned from it, and how I took failure and just being wiped out and decimated and everything else, and how I kind of rebuilt myself. That, to me, I would pay $1,000 for that. To listen to that.
Why not?
Like even us right now, we have the masterclass. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but we're doing seminars.
Yeah.
And right now it's free, and we're educating people on how to do real estate the right way, and we're trying to rejig people's mindset in terms of you don't have to do everything on your own. You can come into partnerships and still benefit JVs, GPLP structures, stuff like that. You can allow other people to do some heavy lifting for you, and you can piggyback off of it. In my business, I piggyback off of some other people, and then some people piggyback off of me. You always got to reach back and pull the next guy up, right? I'm very mindful in terms of, I always try to tell people the best form of learning is finding someone you can spend authentic time with that genuinely has an interest in you, and it's not revenue generated. Right. Obviously, you'll pay that person for their time by doing maybe business with them, or there's an agreement, but it's not something like you're doing it in the masses,
right?
Because it loses its value. It's watered down, right?
I find that there's value in identifying people that are doing something that are just. What drives me nuts is people wasting their talent. Right. People that are generally good people that have good, good work ethic and everything else, but they're just doing a job. Right. Oh, man. Like we just hired someone that's starting in a couple of weeks, and he has no experience in mortgages whatsoever. None. Right. But he's got a great story. Right. And he's gonna be successful. Right. He's just not in the right lane right now. Right. And I love doing that.
You want to polish them up.
Yeah, I love reprogramming people, right? Where it's you're in your lane, you think you're you don't know, man.
This is the Sir Charles movement.
Yeah, but but and again, when I look at my bubbles, that's what makes me happy, right? I love taking people that are kind of in their lane, and they're just well, I can feel the passion, but they're just not in the right lane, right? And I just go like that, just a little bit.
It's that little tweak.
Yeah.
So overall, just as we wrap this up, what would you say to our audience about staying in the zone, and then just a little bit of advice on people wanting to get into the real estate market, and just overall, what would you say about what's going on and how you're feeling?
Okay, so I think we were talking about meditation before, right?
Yeah.
About staying in the zone. So for me, staying in the zone is a mental thing.
All right? Mental, baby.
And so I meditate every morning now, and I just started doing it in the last couple of months, and I find that for me, that's a game changer in how I approach my day.
Yeah.
And the app is called Calm, and one of the participants in Calm is LeBron James.
Yeah.
Right. And LeBron James talks specifically about performance training and having kind of that mentality of being a champion.
Yeah.
What does it take, right? And one of them in particular is about how do you manage stress and anxiety and emotional pressure.
Yeah.
Right. And he breaks it down into three simple things. Right. He's number one, breathe deeply. Right, your breath is the electricity that flows, that keeps your body charged, keeps the cells moving, everything else. And then number two is you got to have blinders on, right? So focus on the goal.
That's the zone right here, baby.
That's the zone, in the zone. And the thing is that he likens it to when you watch the Kentucky Derby, the horse races, and the horses have the blinders on because they have their goal. It's right in front of them. Right. And then the third one, which is really cool, is block out the noise.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, block out the noise. I like that.
Block out the bullshit. So he gives the analogy of, he was talking about, it was game 6 against Chicago in 2014.
Who's this, LeBron?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet you missed a shot, though.
No. So it's 2.5 seconds to go.
Yeah,
right.
I'm a Kobe guy.
Yeah. And he's got to take the inbound pass, and he knows he's going to get double coverage, and it's going to be a difficult shot. And, people were what was going through your brain at that time? I was doing those three things. And when I jumped to make the shot, I was just blocking out the noise.
Right. Nice.
And it just became so clear to him, where it was this is how you train for success. And to be in the zone is really about preparation, right? How do you prepare? How do you prepare for the day, right? How do you start your morning, right? That to me, when he was telling another story where he went to FC Barcelona.
Oh yeah.
Right. And he wanted to train for a day. And one of his colleagues, one of his teammates walked by and saw him training so hard and sweating. And this is preseason, right? So he said to LeBron, he's like, listen, man, you're getting ready for the season? And he's like, no, man, I'm getting ready for the playoffs. Right? So, right, just saying, I got my goal.
Yeah.
Right? So he knew, like, okay, I've got to put the prep work in now.
And everyone knows, man, playoff LeBron is different.
It's different.
Everyone's just waiting to see playoff LeBron.
Right.
Because you know his goal.
There's another gear.
There's another gear, and you know it's the end goal that matters.
Yeah.
You know, and I love what you just said. Like I would love to even use that as a commercial pitch, but
do it, bro.
But it's supreme focus.
Yep.
And then that allows you, that supreme focus gives you confidence as well.
Yep.
Because you need a little bit of confidence to be in the zone as well. You gotta be confident with yourself that you're doing the right thing. You're blocking everything out. You're just focused on this one thing. Because people feel that being into one thing is bad.
Sure.
They all say diversify, being a bunch of things.
No, man.
Me,
no.
I am not a multitasker.
Sure.
I can only do one thing at a time.
My wife is a multitasker.
Yeah.
I am not.
I have a formula. I always say 1% a day.
Yeah.
I only do 1% a day. Every day gives me 365% a year in effort. That's it. That's all I can do.
Right.
Right. When you start multitasking, looking all over the place, how can you block out the noise? How can you just focus on the end goal?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just love the way you break it down.
You dilute it like too much when you try to do too much.
Exactly.
Right. And it's like you just do that one thing and just do it better than everybody else.
It's just splitting time.
Right.
That's
Splitting
it.
time.
You know? And like, staying in the zone is like, how do you start your morning? Like I do intermittent fasting. I work out at like, I get up at 4:30 in the morning.
Right.
And like, that is a commonality I find with a lot of people that are successful is starting their day on the right foot. And like, I don't understand people that wake up at like 7:30 thinking they're going to have a productive day, especially if you have responsibilities in your house, right? Like I'm an equal partner in my house. My wife and I both work together in the morning to get our kids ready for school, but that starts at like 6 o'clock, right? So going back to that last bubble about time, right? Where's my time?
Well, what I'm starting to realize is you can't tell yourself you're just going to wake up 4:30 in the morning, 5:30. There's going to be a point in time in your life where you realize that your mission and goal is so big that you need more time. So you go and find more time.
Yep.
And then you just start chipping away at the things that you want.
But don't you love that first like 5 minutes? I love the first 5 minutes because the first 5 minutes is when you want to quit. And you got to override that switch. Because like, you said that you sleep in your gym clothes. So when you get up in the morning at 4:30, there's no excuses, right? You're just like, boom, out the blanket, out the door, right? And again, there will be that voice in your head when that alarm goes off. It's like, no, man, just take 5 more minutes. Take 5, you deserve a break.
I just pop up like a zombie.
Right. And it's like, and again, but it's that moment is what really separates, the people that are entrepreneurs, like that finish.
That finish,
right? Finish. And it's like, okay, I'm up, I'm going to go. And
finish strong.
Start with the end in mind.
Yeah.
Finish strong.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, man, that was
I think we finished strong.
Charles, man, this was
great, man.
This was a great one.
Thank
you guys don't have coronavirus, do you?
Nah.
I got coronas in the back.
Yeah.
Now I'm in my zone.